Welcome, everybody. Welcome, everybody. Hope you're enjoying the chair dancing. I love the chair dancing. I was like, all right, Miriam, you've got to wind it down now. It's time to start the call. Lovely to see you all. I'm sure a few more people will drop in as they can. Welcome to you as well if you're watching the replay. I know loads of people catch the replays or watch it again on the replay, because that's actually really, really helpful. What you'll find is with magnetic money, it's all layers, right? We layer the work that we do and we focus in on really specific things. Like there's lots of stuff you can be doing to help with allowing abundance to flow more effortlessly, to help with, undoing some old programming and releasing blocks and limiting beliefs and dealing with all those gremlins. There's lots of things, like there's a million little bits and pieces, and we'll mention them over time. But really the core curriculum, if you like, that we focus on are really, really specific things that make a massive difference. And that if you just commit to continually kind of checking in on those and going deeper and deeper, will actually take you so much further faster. And, every now and then it's nice to play with different toys. But we keep it really simple so that if you just focus on this and forget the rest, you'll go very far indeed. And so, they're really specific things, and they layer up, and also it's like layers within you. So every time you come to this work, every time you listen to a call or listen back to a recording, even if you've heard it before, if you're on the call live and then listen to it again a week later or a month later, you'll hear different things and you'll hear things differently because you've shifted and evolved. And, the next kind of level is ready for you to address and look at. And, Isha and I had a conversation yesterday and we talked about, this, you're growing. So now the stuff's ready to come up and be dealt with. Oh, joy, here we grow again, right? And it might have always been there, but it wasn't ripe for the picking yet, or you weren't quite in the right place to deal with it. And, so it's growth is a continual thing. And the more we embrace it and get excited and know that we've done it before and now we just get to do it again at the new level, the more magical life continues to become. So today we're going to talk about hashtag evidence. Before we do, let me know in the chat box something really good that happened this week. And if you're on the recording, then drop into the Facebook group and tell us something really good that's happened this week, because that's part of our work here, like to notice that stuff, to acknowledge it, to celebrate it, and to get better and better at seeing it and making it prevalent. Because as we said last week, what you focus on expands. So let me know something really good that happened this week. And while you're doing that, just a quick heads up, I kind of decided to change up the order of how we're going through the modules for the purpose of the live round. And next week, we're going to take a little bit of a turn and we're going to dive into the practical side of money. And then come back to consolidating the energetic shifts and then moving into the mindset stuff. Just thought it'd be fun to approach it that way, because we've got a good foundation going now, and we're getting that momentum up and running. And then to move into the practical, I think it'll be a really interesting point to dive into the practical side, look at our money systems, and then come back to finish up the energetics, like polishing and rounding it all off, and then into the mindset stuff. So along the way, I would like you to just, if stuff comes up, to kind of just keep a little, just put it aside, like write it down, especially if it's like a continual, really strong thing. But don't feel like you have to deal with everything all at once. We're going to, address lots of tools and so on for dealing with that resistance as it comes up. So just write it down, keep a little list of, I'm noticing some limiting beliefs or some gremlins popping up. Keep that little list handy And you'll probably notice that by the time we get around to how do we deal with limiting beliefs and gremlins and releasing resistance, a lot of it will have actually just disappeared, because a lot of it is just down to the fact that, you need to get better at building up that vibrational stability, at getting into that space of continual expansion, which is what we're doing together in these first few weeks. So today, I want to know what something good that happened. I haven't seen anything come through in the chat box yet, guys. And either you're all typing me really long, beautiful stories. Here comes one. Yes, I love it. Takes a while sometimes to type stuff. I get it. I just want to read this one. I've had a convergence of universal hints across several areas of growth. Yay. Understanding and moving past my upper limits, seeking out and embodying my zone of genius, and being open and grateful for wealth and abundance. Yes, big nods from the universe. And you'll notice that you'll get the same, like Michelle's saying, the same message coming from, different avenues, and it'll be the same theme repeating itself, and not just in the area of money and abundance. It's same. Like when we do it with money, we do it with other things too. So Lena saying feeling a lot more relaxed around money this week, and it's flowed effortlessly. Yes, I hope you're feeling more relaxed after the record month, 20-year record month. That's a nice little affirmation for you right there, isn't it? Plenty of money. Of course there is. Silvana was working on the happy habits, went to a Feng Shui workshop and had some big shifts this week, and happy habits are coming together. Woohoo! Love it. Good stuff. All right. So today we're going to, last week we talked, hang on, I've got to read this one too. A big one was your evidence meditation. Yes. Realized everything is already there. Just need to say yes. Awesome. So last week we talked about raising our vibration and doing it in a really sustainable way, and in a way where it just becomes like a space of continual expansion, right? It just keeps happening, because life is a continual evolution. And if we resist that, or if we get too stuck in a comfort zone, it gets really uncomfortable. So it's about, okay, how do we just make this continual growth and evolution part of how we do life? So we're not really thinking about it. And that's where happy habits and noticing where we're at vibrationally and being able to, step back into a better feeling space comes in. And so as we raise our vibration, as we feel better and more abundant, we naturally attract more abundance and all good things. Like attracts like, right? It just flows. We're more open to it. We've lowered our cortisol, and our brain's actually operating at a totally different level. We see opportunities because we're not problem fixated. So we see the solutions, we see the opportunities, and we're just in a different frame of mind. So, at the level of brain chemistry, it puts you in a totally different state. It actually opens you up to creativity and seeing things and being able to see things. When we are in a low vibration, when we're feeling crap, we're focusing on problems. We're focusing on, negativity. And that puts us into a stress state where we then close down. We literally go into survival mode, and we can't think creatively. We can't see, all the opportunities. All we can see is the problem and get fixated on survival. We close down. So there's many different levels on which this operates, but it's really simple at the end of the day. Like, you don't have to worry about, what's my cortisol level doing, and what am I, an alpha, beta, or a gamma brainwave state right now? Just, are you feeling good? Awesome. That's it. That tells you everything. And so, it really condenses it down. And that's why we just go happy habits, like do the things that make you feel good, tap into that good feeling more and more of the time, normalize to it, and allow it to just naturally grow and expand. Claire, thank you. I just want to say also for giving us that beautiful view of your very abundant kitchen. I love that, because that's a real symbol of abundance. We've been talking about this kitchen and all that it means so much. She's just finished a wonderful online cooking class. Yay, which you were gifted. Yep, you just clean up the kitchen bomb zone while you listen. That's fine. So I guess the question could be, okay, Miriam, so if all we have to do is align with abundance and all good things flow from that, including money, why do we need to bother today talking about aligning with the specific vibration of money? Why do we even bother? Why do we go there? Because usually that brings up some other stuff, right? And the answer is, theoretically, you don't really ever need to worry about the topic of money if you just focus on raising your vibration. But practically, money tends to come up a fair bit, right? It's part of the conversation. It's part of life. And so the reason why we bother now, this stage that we've reached in kind of the layering, the reason we bother going, okay, let's talk about specifically money, the energy, the vibration, the feeling around money, is because there's stuff that we bring with that, right? There's baggage, there's resistance, there's wobbles, and we need to iron out those kinks. We want to notice that resistance. And that, number one, allows us to go, okay, here's some more things to put on my list of limiting beliefs and old stories and interesting patterns that I'm noticing that I'm going to deal with, in due course. Add it to the list. So it helps you notice that. And it also ensures that you're not kind of working in spite of yourself, that you're not kidding yourself. So we want to raise our vibration and feel good more of the time and make that our new normal. And we want to bring the topic of money along with us, not leave it behind and go, I feel great about everything, but just don't get me talking or thinking about money, because then the wheels fall off. It doesn't take much to see how counterproductive that would be, because that's when people get into patterns where, all these cool things keep happening, but the money thing, it won't budge. Everything else is working fine, but I just can't seem to accumulate money or hold money or make it easier to earn it, or whatever it is. So by starting to pay attention to that specific topic of money and how we feel around that, it allows us to release the resistance we have on that specific topic. And so there's a few different ways we're going to do it. But the main thing that I want you to take away and practice after this is going back to noticing. Notice how you feel when you think about and talk about money and deal with your money. How does it feel? Like when you might be, going through your day floating on a cloud, and then you have to do some banking or pay some bills or whatever, something, to do with money. And you notice that the bottom drops out of your vibration or that other thoughts come up. So the way that I like to approach this is think about it as we're ironing out the kinks. Now, I never iron, so this is probably the worst metaphor I could give you. However, I know this much about ironing, that if you just grab the really hot iron and you run it across one of your wonderful linen shirts or something like that, you're going to grab all the creases and iron them in more deeply. Does that kind of make sense, right? So you've got to kind of, jiggle your way through a little bit, get into those little sleeves and the little pockets, and, you kind of ease your way into it and you let the creases iron out before you go in there and try to bed it down. And for somebody who doesn't iron, that's a freaking great metaphor, because that's exactly what we want to do with our vibration around money. There's some kinks in there. There's some, little spots that are a little bit knotty, and we don't want to just run over the top of them because we're just going to make it worse. We want to ease our way in, and if we notice that there's resistance, we need to be able to back up a little bit and just take the pressure off and allow it to loosen up a little bit, and then go again in a really gentle way. So the other sort of visual that I think is really helpful is going back to that merry-go-round analogy, right? So we want to pay attention to, okay, we're now talking, we're getting more specific on the topic of money because we're talking about money, or we're dealing with money, or we're having a conversation, around about our business and how things are going. Is that merry-go-round, the children's playground merry-go-round, am I spinning it in a positive direction and gathering positive momentum, or is it starting to turn the other way? And so you want to catch yourself when you're starting to spin in the negative direction and go, okay, I'm just going to back away. I'm not going to keep adding to it and building more negative momentum, because the more I do that, the worse it gets. And so it's about actually noticing where you're going with it, because you can be doing all the happy habits, all the feeling good, but if every time you talk about money, it just turns into like a big, complaining session, or talking about how disappointed or frustrated you are, then you're working in spite of yourself, like you're actually working against yourself. And I noticed this, you cannot underestimate the importance of this, or how much you really need to do this work, because every single one of us, myself included, works against ourselves so much in this area. When I have conversations with people, one-on-one conversations, especially if we're really focusing on that, I'm constantly going, well, stop. Notice how you're actually now building negative momentum. It's like, you want to almost imagine like a green light and a red light and maybe an orange light, like warning, you're starting to head in the negative direction. Because the more you go in the wrong direction, the more momentum builds, the more you're going to bed down old belief systems, old stories, the more you're going to start dragging down your vibration, and the harder it becomes for you to dig yourself out. So you need to become really good at noticing what's going on and then backing away and going, okay, well, maybe I need to reframe this, or maybe I need to just leave this alone for now because there's actually a lot going on. And leaving it alone is so much better than trying to bully and push your way through it. Because if you try and push your way through it, you're just going to, bed those wrinkles in even deeper. So is this making sense? I want to know. Okay. So let's play with it a little bit before I talk to you about evidence mantras and so on. So part of this, actually, I'm going to ask for somebody to volunteer to just play with it a little bit and demonstrate. And then when we break into little groups, I'll give you the exercise of just listening to each other and kind of doing it internally for yourself. Because if you listen to other people and you notice what's going on for them, you'll get better at doing it for yourself. So first of all, #evidence is about actually getting into the habit of focusing on what is going well, on the money, the abundance you do have, on the clients you do have that are a joy to work with, on, the customers that do keep coming back and that are a pleasure to deal with, on all the things that are going well. So it's about training yourself to focus on that. Doesn't mean you ignore things that need to be dealt with, or you just, turn a blind eye to any issues that need to be sorted. You deal with them, but you don't, put the spotlight on them for way longer than you need to and make it this big thing. And we all know that feeling where, everything's going really well, and then one bad thing happens, like one person complains or wants a refund or doesn't show up to their session, whatever it is, and we fixate on it. And, meanwhile, we've got like dozens and hundreds of people who just love everything we do. And one person doesn't, and we just, it takes over our whole life for a while, our internal life. And so we want to get out of that habit. We want to learn how to step away from that as early as possible before the momentum on the merry-go-round builds. And that comes down to paying attention and then getting in the habit of replacing that by focusing on all the things that are working really well, because we only have so much bandwidth Our brain can only focus on so much at once. That's why we get overwhelmed, because we're trying to keep it all in our head, and it's just like overload. So we can only focus on so much. And if you just replace the focus from focusing on the not helpful to the helpful, to what is working, to what is going well, to what is there, that actually starts to take over. That builds momentum. And that becomes your main focus. So it's actually about building a habit of focusing on what is going well, what is working. And then it naturally tunes you into that. It naturally helps you see more and more of that. It naturally helps you actually take on a mindset of, I've got so much good stuff going on, and there's more coming all the time. And yeah, every now and then there'll be a speed bump, but it's just a speed bump. You're not going to sit there and, with your nail file, try and file the speed bump down because that was such a big problem. You just keep driving and go, oh, hit a speed bump, never mind, hit a pothole. I'll keep driving because there's a big wide open road ahead of us. Isha's just smiling at me. Did you have a bad day? Or was it a bad 5 minutes that you milked out all day? That's a fantastic way of putting it, Tamsin. Did you have a bad day or a bad 5 minutes? Yes. So that's what this is all about. We want to use, and so this is your ongoing work, just like it's #notice. Oh, I'm noticing this. I'm noticing that. I'm noticing that I have this habit going on, or that I'm still persevering with this way of thinking. Like I'm noticing. That needs to become a habit that you build on, and use the Facebook community where everybody knows what this is all about and is here to support you, to post about it, like #notice. I'm noticing this going on. I'm noticing that going on. Like use it like a Dear Diary, right? And this is another one, #evidence. Celebrate the evidence of abundance every opportunity you get. Like if you find 5 cents on the street, pick it up, kiss it, do a happy dance, and post about it in the group and send us a smiling picture with you and the 5 cents. Because it doesn't matter whether it's, $50,000 or 5 cents or $5 million. It's still the energy of money. And you want to be focusing in on that with a positive approach. Heading in that positive direction on the momentum that you're looking to build. So, #evidence. This is ongoing work. Notice it, pay attention, look for it, expect it, and get in the habit of posting about it, celebrating it, because that gives it form, right? When you put a post in our group and go, #evidence. Oh, so exciting. I got a check in the post for $1.50, blah, blah, blah. It doesn't matter. It's actually you getting in the habit of noticing all the things. It doesn't matter how much the amount is. It's you getting in the habit of noticing money specifically we're talking about this week that's coming in. Money or, money equivalent. So get in that habit, because you giving it form by posting about it, by stopping for a moment, it actually amplifies it, and it makes it easier and easier for that to just become how you operate. The more you look for it, the more you acknowledge it, the more of it you're going to see, the more of it you're going to attract. And there's a whole lot more there than you're allowing yourself to acknowledge right now. I can promise you that, because that applies for all of us. It's the 5 minutes of the day that we turn into a bad day. It's exactly that. So #evidence is about acknowledging, celebrating, giving it life, because it helps us build the habit. It helps us accelerate that habit. So that's your first part of the kind of homework from this module. And what I might do is I do want to do a little bit of a demo. So I'm just going to ask somebody to just chat to me about money and what's going on for them with money. And we're just going to use it as sort of a, noticing whether you're heading into that green light direction, or whether there's an orange light starting to turn on, or maybe a red light. if that makes sense. So, anybody keen to put their hand up? We're just going to have a general conversation about, how's it been going? How's money been flowing? What are you noticing? And your job is to follow the trail of the good feeling thoughts. So before we go there, thanks, Sharon, for putting your hand up. I'd love you to be my demo model. This is about you noticing where there's resistance and then backing away a little bit, like backing out of the topic a little bit. So if you think about it like this, actually, a really good quote to remember is Abraham Hicks. If you follow Abraham Hicks, they have a great quote that says, get off the topic and on the vibration. So it's about being on the vibration of abundance. That's what we really focused on with Happy Habits. But now we want to notice, because the topic of money is one we can't avoid, if we're going there, if we're talking about the topic, are we heading deeper into resistance? Because if we are, we need to notice that, become aware, and back away a little bit. So rather than get more into the specific details, just back away and get a little bit more general, a little bit more, wide open. So let's demonstrate it. And if you can get in that habit and know when to not like ram the iron over the creases, it's going to serve you really well. Those who arrived late are going, what is she talking about? Sharon. All right, we're going to go slowly so that I can kind of stop you and just point things out. So, and what I'm going to do is we'll just play hot or colder, like kids' games, right? So as I'm noticing that it's more aligned with a positive vibration, I'll go warmer, warmer, warmer. And if I start noticing that the vibration is dipping or you're starting to go to less abundant levels, we'll go colder, colder, right? But we're going to keep it on the topic of money and we're going to go into more specific details. And when it's like, oh, there's resistance there, we're going to back away and just go a little bit more general again. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Awesome. So let's do it. Sharon, hello. Talk to me about what's been going on for you with money in your life.
At the moment, we have zero balances in our bank.
Very cold.
Because we went on holidays and spent all our money. So, and yet I keep saying to my partner, that's all right, because the universe is always giving us money.
Much warmer.
And then a wonderful client of mine who knows who she is paid me yesterday. So I have money.
Yay, warmer, warmer.
So I sent the attention last night as part of my happy thoughts that today I would see my wink. And I saw my wink. So I know that more money is coming. Then also yesterday I phoned up because I'm getting my transition to retirement plan, and we were counting on at the end of October getting a large sum of money which would be able to fix the second car, and found out that they have suspended all payments for a month until the 4th of November, and then they will start processing again. So that big amount of money that I was counting on will not come till mid-November.
Really,
so
really
I asked
cold.
the lady. So then I looked at my money and I spoke to my partner and I said, why don't we just put things off for 2 weeks? Does it matter? And she said, no, we can do it for 2 weeks. So we have shifted our dates for payment of things. So that felt really good because it was like there's no urgency in it. The universe will always make things available when I can pay for them.
Warmer.
So
okay,
that was,
let's hit pause. Let's hit pause. So everybody's kind of smiling and going, oh, I'm seeing it, I'm getting it. And, it's like, well, how do I ignore reality? Well, no, you don't have to ignore reality. But if reality right now is giving you something that is a low vibration, then let's avoid the topic. for the time being. Let's only deal with it as much as we need to. So it was interesting that you decided to start with, we have no money in the bank, right? Rather than, I'm so excited because we just had this amazing holiday and we feel so abundant, and it didn't even matter that there wasn't even money in the bank, right? So see how just like it's a slightly different way of looking at it and framing it, but it actually is quite a different vibration rather than we have no money in the bank. And then it's like I'm seeing you in this hole that you have to try and dig your way out of, right? And so as we talk about our finances and as we think about our finances, it's really important that we notice whether we're, where we're at on that scale, where we're at on that emotional scale, and that we don't unnecessarily put ourselves into a pit that we then have to try and dig our way out of. And I think that because there's so much history for all of us in this personal development space of using affirmations, it sometimes becomes a bit of a, oh, I can just like be worried, miserable, even panicked sometimes about my finances. And then I'll just use a whole bunch of affirmations to try and dig myself out of the shit. And that's really the hard way. So, does anybody have a question or a comment or like but that they want to throw in here? Just unmute yourself and jump in.
I have a question or comment where I sometimes struggle. No, I wouldn't say struggle. It's more that I bump up against my husband's shitty attitude.
Avoid your husband.
Believe I just did for 3 weeks. It was awesome.
No, but quite seriously, like if you know that going somewhere or having a conversation is going to like really drag you down, if you can avoid it, avoid it. If you can diffuse it, diffuse it. Deal with things when you're in a good space if they're like, the sort of things that have to be dealt with that are unpleasant. And that's one conversation, but another part of it is actually like just in general, when we talk about money and our business and what's going on, there's a tendency for people to just, go down to really almost, play it, like even play it down when it's good and dismiss things. So I want you to grab the 5 cents or any excuse and highlight it. I want you to do the opposite of that. Does that make sense?
That's awesome.
Anyone else have a question or a comment or want to play? Sharon?
Just following on from what Jen was talking about, because I use the statement, that's right, the universe is always giving us money. And I always see a zero balance as an egg. It's just waiting to hatch. And so, that's what a zero balance is for me. So my partner sometimes feels like I'm unsupportive because it's almost like she feels like sometimes I trivialize her
because you're not joining her in her misery to affirm that you should both be very worried and stressed and stand in solidarity in your fear and get the weaponry out to fight the hard battle that you're obviously in for.
How do I not feed in? Because I don't want to feed into it because I don't believe that we have no money. I believe that money is always coming because it always does. I have evidence. But how do I support without feeding in?
Yeah, great question. And so, it's always own oxygen mask first. I won't go into that too much because you understand that. And I think everybody here understands that. So, that's why I said to Jen, avoid him. Avoid him. Don't talk to him. So if you can avoid even going there, great. But when you have to, and if they're in that place, then it's about, it's about acknowledging where they're at. You're not going to be able to change them and move them physically. Because if you go to grab their negative vibration and try and raise it, all that's going to happen is they're going to drag you down. Because I hate to say it, but none of you and none of us are stable enough to pull somebody up out of a dark pit, because we all have our own stuff that we're working on, right? And all that's going to happen is that it'll tap into that, it'll drag us down, right? So you've got to be really stable on where you're at. And that's why I say it's literally do avoid them if you possibly can. And then it's a matter of going, this is how I support us, because I've been dealing with this for a long time and I know this works for us. And I know worrying is what's working for you right now. And I'm sorry that you have to put yourself through so much, pain and suffering. But this is how I support us. I support us by staying positive, by not both of us wallowing together and stressing, because that's going to make us both feel worse. I'm here to kind of hold the light. And when you're ready to join me, it'll be amazing. But I'm not going to insist that you do. So, like holding your own, like acknowledging them, but still saying, but I'm not going to join you, darling, because I know it's not good for you or me, but mostly me. Is that helpful? Yeah. And what'll happen is, as you do this, so this is every time we do a live round or we have a bunch of new people come into Magnetic Money, about 2 weeks in, they go, I'm getting it. I'm feeling good. What do I do about them? Right? Every single time. And then it's always like, you just ignore them as best as you can. Let them do their thing. Let them wallow. Let them stress. You do you. And the more you stabilize, the more magnetic you become. And eventually, like, shifts happen, magic happens, where they want what you've got, or they don't even realize that they're up leveling and stopping old pattern. I know Gisella's seen it happen. I know Jen's seen it happen. I know lots of people in this group who've gone, you'll never believe it. And it wasn't because they were trying to change their partner. It was because they just steadfastly worked on stabilizing their own vibration. And then that other person can't help but join you, because that's really attractive. That's like so sexy, and they're going to want it. And if they don't, I don't want them, to be quite honest. Sorry, that's really blunt, isn't it? But it does happen. It happens
true,
sometimes.
And it's exactly what it's true. And it's exactly, you just reminded me what Tash Corbin always says, a rising tide rises all ships.
Exactly. Lifts all ships.
Yeah.
Yep, absolutely. So just we'll play with that a little bit more. I want you to take this sort of, the little demo I did with Sharon. I'll give you that as a little exercise to do in breakout groups. I just want you in your own brain. It's not about pulling each other up necessarily. You can do that with a friend. Like if you've got a buddy that you want to practice with, and you can do that out loud. But I want you to just do it inside your own head and get in the habit of doing it both when you're listening to yourself and when you're listening to others. Like sort of imagine the green light, orange light, red light thing in your head. Like, where is that going? Is this a positive momentum on the topic of money that we're building vibrationally? Or are we heading into dangerous territory, or do we need to just back away? So remember also, get off the topic and on the vibration means if this topic is a problem, drop it. If this topic right now is full of resistance and low vibration, step away from it and go focus on something else. Like go do your happy habits. That's what they're for. And just ignore it for a while. Come back to it when you're in a better place, when things have shifted a little bit, when you can take a different perspective and when you can work your way through it. Now, I'm just going to throw to Jen for a second. So, because she's going to need to go soon. And I'd really like Jen to let us know, just a little intermission. Intermission. I'd like Jen to just share quickly. I want to invite her to share quickly about the offer that she posted up in the group, because Jen is an amazing, amazing coach who has so much to offer. And anybody who ever works with Jen just walks away going, I don't even know how to describe what just happened, but she just blew my mind and helped me see so many things differently. And Jen's also a certified magnetic money coach, and she's been in magnetic money forever. So if you are, looking at her offer that she posted and going, oh, I'd like to hear more about that, I'm just going to ask her to spend a couple of minutes to talk about it. Jen, can you tell everybody about it, please?
I will. Thank you for this opportunity, Miriam. I appreciate it very much. Okay, so as Miriam said, I have been in magnetic money since the dawn of time. It's been a very long time. Last year, I became a certified magnetic money coach, which is just another arrow in my quiver of tools with which I support amazing people like you. And so the offer that I've made into the Magnetic Money Group is valid for this round. So if you're watching the recording anytime during this live round, you can take advantage of it. And basically, it's 5 hours with me for $555 Canadian. And the Canadian Australian dollar is pretty close to par. I haven't checked it lately, but it's not as a huge gap as the US dollar. And basically, I am an intuitive channel, I'm a psychic, I'm a voice coach, all of these things. I have over 12 years of coaching and individual support for people. And basically, I can look at your ancestral line, I can look at mother line, father line, past life patterns that you might not even be aware of are playing out in your money story and your money patterns. So the best way to actually dive into some of this is actually to support you with the practical implementation of the setting up of your accounts and the setting up of your spending plan, because it's usually in those actions that these patterns show up. It's been like delightfully enlightening and entertaining to work on this with clients, because sometimes they're like, oh, I realized that my Nana did this, or I realized that, oh my goodness, my father did this, and I had no idea that this pattern was showing up for me in this way. And then we just go in and clear it. It's very simple and very straightforward. And I get a lot of kicks out of supporting people in this way. Being an intuitive channel, I can also bring through your own soul guidance. So our conscious mind has all these patterns and has all of our sort of, I'm going to say our thinking mind, social structures of how we do things. Whereas our higher self or our soul self is a place where we have this access to this incredible wisdom through multiple lifetimes, multiple, ancestral patterns. So I can actually help you see and access some of that and bring that wisdom forward for you. So channeled wisdom, channeled guidance. And it's just basically through the implementation of the practical magnetic money pieces that we can access that and go, oh, hey, let's ask your higher self, let's ask your soul what it thinks about that, or what can best move you forward from this place. So that's my offer. 5 hours, anytime in the next 5 months, basically. We can start next week, we can start in a month. And all you need to do to find out more is to book a curiosity call. The link is in the comments of the post. I don't have it available with me right now to park it in the chat, but maybe we can look at that later. And yeah, I'm just delighted to be able to serve you. So do take advantage of this offer. Thank you.
I love the way you phrase that. What did you say? Delightfully entertaining.
Enlightening and entertaining.
Entertaining, yes. And I think this was I wanted to ask Jen to talk.
Oh, you muted yourself, Miriam.
Sorry about that. Didn't mean to do that. Yeah, I wanted for you to talk about this today, because next week we start on the practical side of things. And the marrying the magical with the practical is so powerful. And I love the way that you're using I'll help you implement your money management system. And through that process, it will bring up all of those energetic and ancestral things to be healed. So it's a really practical, beautiful outcome, and really useful process to go through that then brings up naturally along the way all the things that could be standing in the way. So thank you for articulating that. I just wanted everyone who's supporting us as an accountability leader this round to have that opportunity to let people know how they can work with them, but also just to quickly say it verbally here on a call, because sometimes, reading it is just not the same as hearing it from people. So that post is pinned to the top of the Facebook group, And you can just get in touch with Jen if you want to find out more about working with her, but she does create absolute magic. So I want to go back to, okay, so actually it's good to have that little brain break from what we were talking about too. So we've been talking about really paying attention to where our energy's at on when we're getting into the specific topic of money, and really noticing when we're trying to push through resistance and getting into a habit of just easing back a little bit, just going a little bit more general. And you just play with that with your language, and you just need to pay attention to how it feels. So you might be going, I'll go back to the example of some of the things Sharon talked about, which is, we've just been on this great holiday, and, like, really, do you have to mention there's no money in the bank at all? Like, if that was you, like, do you have to? We've just been on this great holiday, and yeah, even though, it kind of cleaned out our bank account, so you can kind of just even soften the language if you need to talk about it. But if you don't need to talk about it, why give that more energy? Like, why go put your fertilizer and your water on that weed in your garden in the first place? Like, is it necessary? Does it serve any purpose? Sometimes we have to talk about those things, and we have to, bring them up. Oh, Sharon, you're amazing. Thank you for that link in the chat box for Jen. Like, sometimes we can't avoid the topic and we need to actually say the stuff, and that's fine. So find ways to say it that aren't, so doomsday-ish. But if you don't need to, why bother? Just like think about that sort of thing a little bit, because you're not doing yourself any favors. Like, vibrationally, you're digging yourself into a hole. So I quickly talked about, I want to say two things before I break you up into groups. Number one, I quickly mentioned before affirmations. Now, the second sort of home play from this module is developing an evidence mantra and getting in the habit of using it. It is not an affirmation. And Sharon mentioned it just briefly before. Sharon's got a really good one. That's right. There's always more money coming, right? That's your evidence mantra. So the thing with that one is that's probably more also at the level of what I call a universal truth, which we'll talk about later. But an evidence mantra specifically is something I want you, this is a very important exercise to take away from this call. I want you to come up with an evidence mantra, one, maybe two, but at least one that you can just quickly reel off. And it's going to be like sorry, the word just escaped me. It's something that you're going to say to confirm and highlight when money's flowing in. So it's an evidence mantra. It's something that you say when the money's there so that your brain can't argue with it, right? It's confirmation. It's emphasizing, that's right, there's always money flowing in. So you say that when the money hits your bank account, right? So Sharon gets paid and she goes, that's right, there's always more money coming. And you use it in that specific moment when the money's right under your nose, when no part of your brain can argue with it. And that is the difference between this and an affirmation, because people use affirmations to try and talk themselves into something that currently there's no evidence to substantiate in front of them, and a big part of their brain argues with in the background, right? It's like trying to talk yourself into something you don't actually believe right now. Whereas an evidence mantra is confirmation. It's right there in front of you. It's just happened. You can't argue with it. And there it is. There's always more money flowing in. It doesn't have to be there's always more money flowing in. It can be whatever feels right for you, but it's confirming that this just happened and that this is something that's happened before and so will likely happen again. Make sense? Does anyone else have an evidence mantra that they like to use? Isha?
Something I often say is, well, of course, like, of course it's flowing in, or, or of course, I'm really good at what I do. So the money's showing up to show, like, that's the kind of like when the money turns up, it's like, well, of course it's turning up. Why wouldn't it? Kind of thing.
Yep.
That's my one.
Cool. Really simple. Really simple. Keep it simple. And also, of course, is a really good thing to add, or that's right, like Sharon did, because they're hypnotic terms that actually help us reinforce it to our unconscious mind. So that's right. I've always got happy clients, because you do, right? And so you use that not in the moment where you've got that 5-minute thing because some person wasn't happy. That's not when you use it. You use it to reinforce and emphasize and grow bigger vibrationally, energetically in your mind, the positive as it happens. So it's really emphasizing it. And this goes a really long way towards shifting, those habits. So in the moment, use it in the moment, add something like that's right, play with it a little bit. I'll put some posts up in the group so we can do little brainstorms of different evidence mantras if you're kind of going, oh, I'm not sure what I might say. But what do you say in that moment when money shows up? That's right. There's always money flowing in. Or, of course, people always pay me for my services. People are always paying me for my services. Really keep it really simple. Don't try to make it too fancy, and practice using it often. And that's ongoing work. So I'm going to just break us up into little groups. And literally we're going to go one-on-one, which is perfect. We're going to go one-on-one because I'd like you to just talk about what's been going on in your business. Just like, hey, what's been happening in your business? And maybe you can just go like, because there's only two of you, it's only going to be like one-on-one, which is great because we can actually play. You can just, go, this is going to be orange and red, and this is going to be green, and just use hand signals for each other and just feeding back to the person how you feel, and practice that, easing in, backing up, easing in, getting a little bit more into details. If it's going orange or red, you just back it up a little bit, get a little bit more general. It's not about trying to flip it with an affirmation or completely smother it. It's just about then talking about, but on the other hand, like, we have such an amazing life, and I love how there's always good things happening. Like, that's backing right out. So away from the specific topic of money. Does this make sense? Do you guys feel like you're going to be able to do this? Cool. And I might just flit around the rooms and listen in. I'm making your workshop. All right. So we're going to, what have we got? Perfect. I'll create 3 rooms and I'll just be a little fly on the wall. Hang on one sec. I'm just going to swap a couple of people around. Hang on. What am I doing? No. Okay. That should work. We'll just spend 5 minutes having a play. So just like a couple of minutes each, just to get the feel for it. Miriam's going to pause the recording.
Sorry.
It's okay.
Listen to the recording.
This is why I told everybody, please import the electronic calendar. Because it should.
I did. And when I looked at it yesterday, when I had my meeting, I thought it said 7 o'clock. So I thought it said 8 o'clock. So I even told my sister, no, I'll be home plenty of time. I have a meeting at 8. Oh, well.
Never mind. Okay.
I couldn't have sat still
Hang on.
anyway.
Still waiting for these breakout rooms to close.
Mm-hmm.
Here they come. Welcome back. Welcome back. So I
We
think
were
Jackie's
just
not.
getting a really juicy topic there. Anyway,
Yeah. Oh, well, you'll need to continue the call in your own Zoom room. But I know it gets really juicy, right? So just shout out to Jackie, who just rolled up going, oh, shivers, I got the time wrong. And I'm sure you're not the only one who, because we had the daylight saving change and that's all like electronic calendar, please, people. But it's okay. This is why we have recordings. Lena, in answer to you, I saw an email from you asking about recordings. They're in the members site. So where you log in to watch the trainings, there's another tab that says, oh, no, sorry, you're on self-study. Yeah, that's why. So as I was flitting around the rooms, what I noticed and what there was a little bit of discussion about is, why do people feel the need, even though, I mean, I gave you the exercise to notice like red and green, and it was really great using the hands because then you're not interrupting the other person. So that's a great exercise. If you've got a friend to do this with, do it. But what I noticed is I didn't say go in there and talk about a problem you've been having and see if you can figure out a way through it that's not booby trapped, right? But there's still a tendency for people to talk about like something that's full of resistance, that's full of like, it's a problem. So if you don't need to talk about it and add to it, don't talk about it, But so it's because it's not productive. It doesn't help you. It doesn't support you in raising your vibration, in doing this work. Yes, we all need to deal with stuff, but we don't have to add to it unnecessarily. We don't have to, like the analogy I used is, we don't have to go out in the garden, find the biggest weed and go, oh my God, look at that weed. And then like throw fertilizer and water on it as well and walk away from it. It's like, okay, if I can yank the weed out right now, I'll yank it out and deal with it. If not, I'll go, I'm going to have to come back and deal with that weed. Now let me go like prune my roses and fertilize the vegetables and, do all those things. So this is your garden and this is how you fertilize it. So stop talking shit. No, that's not. It's just me being silly. I hope that makes a lot of sense. This is about becoming more aware and like do the exercise where even if you don't tell the other person you're having conversation with, have the little lights, imagine the little lights going off in your head, because as you notice it with other people, it'll help you get really good at doing it for yourself, which is all that matters at the end of the day. Thank you for playing. Thank you to those of you who stayed till the end. Now, your homework is to have an evidence mantra and to practice saying it. If you can say it out loud, great. Come share with us in the group. Tell us #evidence every time something wonderful happens, or just do a weekly dump at the end of the week or every couple of days. Just go #evidence. Here's all the cool things that happened. As specific as you can be on the topic of money this time. Okay. And notice when you decide to throw a bit of resistance in just for the hell of it. Like sometimes people will go, oh, all this good stuff happened, but is that necessary? Is that helping anyone? All right, good. Beautiful. This is a lot of fun. And, maybe at some stage we should have a little workshop where we just really deep dive and play with this. I'll put it on my little list for future things to play with, not in the middle of a live round, but in between live rounds. I will see you next week when we start talking about taking stock take of where our money's at. Yay! Can't wait. See you all then. Bye for now.